Hello and welcome to Legal Thinking with me, Ed Wotton.
And me, Liam Pape.
This week, we're going to do a bit of a run-through of some of the legal thinking that's been going on our info hub on our website. If you keep up with it, there's lots of interesting legal commentary on that from our various teams. What are we going to start with today, Liam?
The first piece that we're going to be covering is about fire and rehire, and this is an article that's been written by Gemma Ospedale. And it essentially talks about the legality of what Tesco and a few other companies have done recently, where they've wanted to change major parts of employees' contracts. And the only way they've been able to do that is by technically firing and then offering the employees the chance to be rehired, or not even going that far and just rehiring new people completely. In terms of the legality of it, Gemma essentially comes to the conclusion that it is legal, however, that you should definitely consult with a lawyer before doing it, because there are quite a few nuances around this area, and there is an upcoming Supreme Court judgment as well that's going to be coming out on the ability to fire and rehire. It's a really
contentious area, I think, isn't it?
It is, and Gemma does stress in the article that if it is to be used, it's to be used as essentially a last resort only.
Yeah. The next one we've got is from Craig Walker. I'm sure everyone will have heard about this story about the Tate Modern and the viewing platform that they have on their newest Blavatnik building, which looked over some flats and effectively made the residents feel like they were in a zoo, which probably isn't a very nice feeling for where you live. And the court recently found for the residential owners, basically saying that it's a nuisance that the viewing platform is there and people can take photos and see into their houses, basically, which is it's quite interesting. It's generated quite a lot of discussion, even as to what the case was about, Liam. We were talking about this before, weren't we?
It is. So the most recent ruling actually ruled against an earlier Court of Appeal decision, and a lot of the discussion that you'll see online, and especially what people have been talking about on Twitter, is what came first, the viewing platform or the apartment? Because, of course, it'd be rather silly to move into an apartment knowing that it's been overlooked by the Tate Modern. But if
and that's what I thought the argument was, basically.
But if you get into the weeds of kind of what the main legal questions are, it's whether, first of all, it's whether overlooking constitutes a private nuisance, and then secondly, it's whether the viewing gallery was a reasonable use of the Tate's land, given that it is an art gallery.
It's an interesting one. Well, I'm sure there'll be more about that to come, so make sure to keep an eye on our info hub, see more comment from our teams. And then we're moving on to basically this month, it was announced that journalists, for the first time, will be able to access and report on family law hearings in a pilot scheme that's going to be happening over a few cities in the UK. I think this will be quite interesting because it will probably highlight some of the challenges and, help people understand, what happens in the family law court, as we found in our recent Outside the Box campaign, where we've looked at some of the delays in court hearings and some of the challenges that people face, going through mediation and how they can find other options to get through the complexities of divorce and separation. I think there's probably a bit of opacity that is going to be cleared by this reporting, which will be probably a good thing, I guess, in the long run. Everyone will be kept anonymous, so, it will protect everyone's privacy, but it will just allow people to understand the process a bit more, which can, as I say, only be a good thing, really.
Something about light being the best disinfectant, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely agree with that. And then moving on to an article from Kirsten Scheel, who is a specialist in birth injury in our clinical negligence team. She basically pulled together a lot of the research that's gone on in the last few years with regards to racial inequalities in maternity care in the NHS, because unfortunately ONS statistics reveal that black babies, stillborn rates are almost twice the rate of white babies, which is obviously not a great statistic. So there's a lot in there that's really, really interesting, including how the Royal College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists is actually going to work, or is working, to kind of combat the racial inequalities that appear in maternity care. So yeah, it's really interesting. Definitely have a read of that.
This month as well, Catherine Hawkes wrote about the Protection from Redundancy, open brackets, Pregnancy and Family Leave, close brackets bill, which recently...
Really catchy title.
All these bills do have very catchy titles like that. Passed successfully through the House of Commons, which means it's one step closer to becoming law. There's quite a lot of nuances in this, so I would recommend going to check the article itself out. But it essentially goes into
what the bill does, why we need it. Yeah. I mean, it's quite surprising. I think some of this you would expect these protections to be in place already. So it's fascinating in that respect, because the fact that this new legislation is needed. So as Workplace Equality Charity Pregnant and Screwed kind of looks at a lot of different rights and legislations that are needed, because obviously women experience quite a lot of challenge when they have to look after children as well as try and have a successful career as well. So, I think it's probably a good thing. Indeed. I imagine it's a good thing, this bill.
Catherine explains how the Equality and Human Rights Commission found that an estimated 54,000 women a year felt that they had to leave their jobs due to pregnancy or maternity discrimination.
Yeah, which is not great, is it? So, yeah.
No, absolutely not.
So lots of stuff going on in February. Lots of legal thinking for a very, very short month. So make sure to stick with us, not only for these roundups of what we've been talking about, but also for interviews and discussions with various people about different aspects of the law. And what else would you like to say, Liam?
Everything we've discussed in this episode, you can find further information about at rwkgoodman.com/info-hub. That's rwkgoodman.com/info-hub.
Yep, and there's loads more besides. This is just a small selection of what's there, so make sure to have a look, and thanks for listening.